In a land far away, nestled between towering hills and lush green valleys, there was a small, peaceful village named Jade Valley. This village was home to a hard-working man named Lin, a humble farmer known for his unrelenting dedication to his land and family. Lin, though young and energetic, often found himself weighed down by the burdens of life, always striving to make things better for his family, his neighbors, and his community. However, despite his tireless efforts, Lin's family struggled to make ends meet. The problem wasn't due to a lack of hard work or dedication, but because of something much greater, an obstacle that seemed insurmountable, a massive mountain that loomed over Jade Valley, casting a shadow over the village and blocking the fertile land that Lin's family desperately needed for farming. This mountain, known as Mount Yao, was an imposing presence that split the land of Jade Valley in two. The fertile soil and water sources, crucial for agriculture, lay on the other side of Mount Yao. Each year, Lin and the other villagers had to travel around the enormous mountain to reach the fertile lands, adding weeks to their journey. This made the cost of transporting goods, supplies, and harvested crops much higher and labor-intensive. It drained their energy and resources and prevented the village from thriving. Many years ago, Lin's father had spoken about moving the mountain. He had a vision of a clear path from Jade Valley to the other side, one that would allow the villagers to cultivate the rich land more efficiently, bringing prosperity and growth. But when Lin asked how they could move something as immense and immovable as Mount Yao, his father had simply said, "One small stone at a time." Lin, just a boy then, had laughed at the impossibility of it all. How could anyone move an entire mountain? It seemed absurd, even to imagine it. His father had passed away years ago, and the mountain still stood as a stubborn reminder of the barriers they faced in life. Yet, those words, "one small stone at a time," remained etched in Lin's heart, even if he didn't fully grasp their meaning back then. A bold decision one harsh winter, as Lin sat by the hearth of his modest home, looking at his children's faces lit by the flickering flames, he felt a sense of hopelessness creeping in. The harvest had been poor that year. The long, arduous journey around the mountain had taken its toll on the crops, which had lost their freshness by the time they were brought back to the village. It hurt Lin deeply to see his family go hungry despite his relentless efforts. His thoughts drifted to his father's dream of a path through the mountain. "One small stone at a time," Lin whispered to himself, his father's words echoing in his mind. Suddenly, he felt a spark of determination ignite within him. Perhaps it was madness, or perhaps it was the desperate hope of a man with nothing left to lose, but at that moment, Lin decided that he would do what no one had ever dared to do before. He would move the mountain. The next morning, Lin woke up before the sun had risen. With nothing but a shovel in his hand and a burning resolve in his heart, he made his way to the base of Mount Yao. The villagers who saw him walking through the village at dawn were curious but dismissed it as just another of Lin's many efforts to provide for his family. He stood at the base of the towering mountain, staring up at its majestic, intimidating height. He felt a chill of fear run down his spine as the full magnitude of the task before him became apparent. But Lin pushed the fear aside. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. And then, without hesitation, he bent down, picked up a small stone, and placed it aside. Then, he did it again, and again. Hours passed, and by the time the sun was high in the sky, Lin had cleared only a small patch of loose stones and dirt from the mountain's base. His hands were sore and blistered, and his body ached from the strain. Passers-by noticed his strange activity and began to gather around, murmuring in confusion. "What are you doing, Lin?" An elderly man named Elder Wu, the village chief, asked, leaning on his cane. "I'm moving the mountain," Lin replied, his voice steady and sure, despite his exhaustion. A wave of laughter spread through the crowd. How could one man, with nothing but a shovel and his bare hands, possibly move an entire mountain? It was the most ridiculous thing they had ever heard. "Lin, this is madness," someone called out. "You can't move Mount Yao. It's been here for centuries. It's impossible," another shouted. But Lin did not stop. He kept digging, moving small stones and pebbles aside one by one. The villagers shook their heads and left, muttering about how the strain of life must have finally broken Lin's spirit. Only Elder Wu remained behind, watching with a thoughtful expression. "Do you truly believe you can move the entire mountain?" Elder Wu asked softly. Lin paused and looked at the elder, his eyes filled with quiet determination. "I don't know if I can," he admitted, "but I have to try. If I don't start, nothing will ever change. If I move just one stone, then at least I've made a beginning." Elder Wu nodded slowly, his eyes softening. He saw the fire in Lin's gaze, the kind that spoke of a man willing to give everything for a chance at a better life. He knew that trying to dissuade Lin would be pointless. "May your strength and spirit guide you, Lin," Elder Wu said, turning to leave. "And may the small stones you carry today pave the way for others to follow." A village united days turned into weeks, and Lin continued to dig. He woke up before dawn and worked until dusk, moving stone after stone, inch by inch. The villagers still thought he was crazy, but slowly, something remarkable began to happen. One morning, Lin's neighbor, a middle-aged man named Han, who had once mocked his efforts, showed up at the base of the mountain with a shovel in hand. "I figured you could use some help," Han said, shrugging as if embarrassed by his own decision. "After all, I have nothing to lose, either." Lin smiled and welcomed Han's assistance. Together, they began to move more stones, faster and more efficiently. The news of Han joining Lin spread throughout the village, and a few more villagers came to see what was happening. Some came out of curiosity, others to lend a hand for a few hours. Before long, a small group of villagers gathered every day to help Lin. It wasn't much, but it made a difference. The patch of cleared stones at the base of Mount Yao began to grow wider, the loose soil giving way to firmer ground underneath. And still, Lin worked tirelessly, never faltering, never complaining. As the seasons changed and the fields thawed from winter's grasp, more and more villagers joined in. The sight of Lin's unwavering dedication inspired them, slowly breaking down the walls of doubt and fear that had held them back for so long. One by one, families brought their tools, their carts, and even their children to help carry away the small stones. With each stone they moved, they felt a growing sense of unity and purpose. They were no longer just villagers struggling to survive, they were a community, bound together by the common goal of creating a better future. The dream of a path through the mountain, once dismissed as foolish, became a shared vision. The ripple effect of small actions as months turned into years, the small patch of cleared stones at the base of Mount Yao expanded into a large clearing. The once barren, rocky ground now looked like the beginnings of a path. It was still a long way from being complete, but the villagers could see the progress they were making, and it filled their hearts with hope. Lin became a symbol of perseverance for everyone. His story spread far beyond Jade Valley. Travelers from neighboring villages, hearing about the man who dared to move a mountain, came to witness the spectacle themselves. Some came to laugh, others to marvel, but many were moved by what they saw. Among those travelers was a young merchant from the city named Zhao. He had heard about Lin's story and was intrigued by the idea of moving a mountain. When he arrived and saw the path the villagers had cleared, he was astounded by the sheer determination and teamwork on display. Zhao approached Lin, who was still at the forefront of the effort, shoveling dirt with the same fervor as when he had started. "Why do you keep going?" Zhao asked, genuinely curious. "You've made progress, yes, but the mountain still stands. Don't you ever feel like it's all pointless?" Lin paused and wiped the sweat from his brow. He looked up at the towering mountain, then back at the path they had created. His voice was calm, yet filled with conviction. "The mountain may still stand, but so do we," he said. "Every stone we move, every inch we clear, we're not just building a path, we're proving to ourselves and each other that change is possible. Even if we don't see the end of this path in our lifetimes, we're laying the foundation for those who come after us. We're teaching our children that no obstacle is too great if you tackle it one small step at a time." Zhao was deeply moved by Lin's words. He saw that what was happening in Jade Valley was more than just an effort to move a mountain. It was a lesson in perseverance, patience, and the power of small, consistent actions. Inspired, Zhao donated funds to buy better tools and equipment for the villagers, making their work easier and more efficient. The unseen transformation. The years rolled by, and Lin grew older. His once youthful face was now lined with wrinkles, his hair streaked with gray. His body, once strong and agile, was slower, burdened by the weight of time and toil. But the fire in his eyes never dimmed. He continued to work, even when his body protested, even when his hands shook from exhaustion. The villagers, now a strong and cohesive community, took up more of the labor, urging Lin to rest. But he never fully stepped back, insisting on being part of the effort, no matter how small his contribution became. The path through the mountain was nearly complete. The villagers had cleared a wide passage that allowed carts and animals to move through with ease. What had once seemed like an impossible task was now a tangible reality. It was still not perfect. There were rough patches and steep inclines, but it was a path nonetheless, one that connected Jade Valley to the fertile lands beyond. One evening, as the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow on the path they had carved through Mount Yao, Lin stood at the entrance, looking at the work of many hands, the result of countless small stones moved over many years. His heart swelled with pride and gratitude. Elder Wu, now even older and more frail, approached Lin. He smiled, his eyes misty with tears. "You did it, Lin. You moved the mountain." Lin shook his head slowly. "No, we moved the mountain. It wasn't just me. Every villager, every traveler who stopped to help, every child who carried a pebble, they moved it, too. It was never about the mountain, Elder Wu. It was about the journey, the lesson." Elder Wu nodded. "One small stone at a time," Lin smiled. "Yes, one small stone at a time." The legacy of a dream. Lin passed away peacefully that winter, surrounded by his family and the people of Jade Valley. He left behind not just a path through Mount Yao, but a legacy of hope and resilience. The villagers continued to improve the path, refining it, making it smoother and stronger. It became a vital route, bringing prosperity to Jade Valley and connecting it to the wider world. People from far and wide came to see the path and hear the story of the man who moved a mountain, a story that taught them that no obstacle is too great when tackled with patience and perseverance. Lin's life became a legend, his words a source of inspiration. Generations later, a stone monument was erected at the base of Mount Yao. It bore an inscription, simple yet profound. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Lin's story, and the path he forged, stood as a testament to the power of small, consistent actions and the unbreakable spirit of those who dare to believe that even the greatest challenges can be overcome, one small step at a time. And thus, the lesson of the mountain and the man continued to inspire countless others, proving that change, no matter how daunting, always begins with the first small stone. Did you enjoy Lin's inspiring journey of perseverance and patience? This story is a beautiful reminder that no challenge is too great when tackled one small step at a time. If this story moved you, consider sharing it with friends and family who might need a bit of motivation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories like this one. Let us know in the comments, what's your own mountain that you're moving, one stone at a time? We'd love to hear your thoughts.